and really, really such important information, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, tell me how you started this work with the reclaiming the feminine.
Oh, sure, sure,
Let's
sure.
go there.
So I work primarily with women. I have worked with men. I have male clients, but all my group programs and all the group work I do, it's primarily with women. So if a man was to come to me, I would just, look for a great male coach and I would send him in that direction. But privately, I do work with males. So because I primarily work with women in the groups like that, I work with women after divorce is kind of my marketing,
Yeah.
but I also work with women who are going through divorce, or I could work through, it doesn't have to be exactly, but generally those are the types of women I work with. So it's just kind of a natural progression because it was a natural progression for me. Once we have ended a relationship and once we have healed and once we're in a different place, then we start to shift into a different chapter. So it was a natural progression for me. I waited 6 years after my second divorce. I was in child mode. I was in, survival mode. I was in the doing mode, very masculine. That's all masculine. And that's
Oh,
fine.
that's my next question for you.
We have to have both energies, and so do the men. So then 6 years later, I was kind of like, I was settled. I was in a new house. I was in a new neighborhood. I was in a new part of my life. I was building my business again. I was like, I'm ready. So it became a natural progression. So then I just wanted to add that into my courses and my training so I can offer the same. Again, I want to teach what I've done so they don't have to go through the same trials and tribulations.
So maybe you can, sorry, finish.
Well, it's fine to go through your own trials and tribulations, but you don't have to take a long, long time.
Yes. Because we know some people can spend lifetimes.
Yeah.
In
like
one.
Whenever I found myself in a, if a marriage was ending or something was, I would get coaching. Like I knew what to do. I knew where to go to get the empowerment I need. I knew I need a coach. I need a coach. Whenever there was a transition, I don't always have a coach, but back then it was like, yeah, I need a coach right now.
Yeah. So
but
during transitions, I find too, is where a lot of people may feel, they feel stuck, or they feel like they're procrastinating in their personal development, or they reach a roadblock with growth in their business and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with me, or I'm not producing right now, or I'm not feeling creative, or this or that. And I often say, well, this is a state of being right now. You're learning and there's some growth you need to do. There's some reflecting and growth you need to do. There's some healing work that needs to be done, and then you move on. So maybe you can tell us the main differences between feminine and masculine.
I would love to.
Yeah.
So the masculine energy is typically the doing energy. So it's the planning and the strategizing and the fixing and the organizing and the figuring out. And we need that because in business, like I'll shift into masculine energy when I need to do stuff in my business. I'll shift into masculine energy when I'm with my kids. If I need to get stuff going off to school, that's masculine doing energy. But then we lean back into our feminine, which is being. So the being versus the doing. So feminine is being, it's trusting, it's allowing, it's believing, it's playful, it's flirty, it's flowy, it's Mother Earth, it's like bare feet in the grass, wild hair, like it's ooh. Like it can be that fierce, like wild tiger kind of a thing. Some people say magic on legs. That's what feminine energy is, magic on legs.
Oh, I like that.
We're grounded. We know what we want. We know who we are. We don't take shit from anyone. When you are aligned, there's feminine energy, but then there's aligned feminine energy. Is very, I think, even different than feminine energy, because we can be feminine, we can put on our makeup and our hair and do all the femininity things, right? And even if we're in a marriage, we can be feminine with our partners, but that's very different than being aligned feminine energy. When we're aligned, it's almost deeper to me, and this is just my opinion. It's like grounded in something deeper, not just
you know,
it's everything. You know what I
honestly,
mean? Like,
months ago, I wouldn't have even known what you were talking about, but because in my own personal life, I I've been nurturing the feminine so much over the past 2 years. I think I understand what you're talking about that being, that depthness that you receive when you're in your feminine. So I want to share my story.
yes, because I would love to hear that.
Yeah. So the last two years, I've been spending a lot of time nurturing the feminine, um, and also, really focusing on healing. And just recently, I kind of catapulted myself back into the world, right? The outside world. So I was working out of 3 clinics and loving the work I was doing, balancing out time with my family. And, I started raging again. And that was one of the qualities that I've really been trying to heal, right?
So what was that rage?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
What did it look like? Yeah, I want to know, what did that look like?
And I was like, what is this? And I do what I do, which is I went quiet. And, I remember sharing the epiphany or my aha moment with you and with a few of my girlfriends when it finally came into fruition for me. And it was my feminine. She was raging. She was saying, you need to take care of me. So anytime, because I give so much as a healer and I show up and it's how I'm wired, I'll do it without boundaries, which isn't very healthy. And one of the things my feminine is teaching me is to set better boundaries, and not just for myself, but for myself in my relationships, for myself in my workplace, for myself with food, for like in all areas. So here I am back at work, and the minute I forget about nurturing the feminine, she was raging. And I was like, yes, this is her. She's raging. She's saying, I need time with you. I need self-care. I need you to get on your yoga mat and body prayer, or I need you to run me a bath, rather than my old way. Yeah, than my old way, which is my raging feminine would look like this. You're the reason why I'm feeling this way. I'd project, right? You're the reason why I'm so tired. My kids are crazy. They're asking too much for me, and that's why I'm this, and that's why I'm that. And then I would, take it out on my spouse. And and I finally, I found her.
Wow.
Found her. And that was, we birth babies. Some of us don't. We birth art, we birth creation, we birth food. We're birthing all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so the most difficult part is, by nature, the feminine is so nurturing. But she says, okay, fine, I'm giving you this beautiful gift. I'm allowing you to nurture. But when are you going to nurture me?
Take care of your feminine.
Yeah. So, that I finally figured out where rage, because I have rage. Like, I'll be the first to say there is a rage in me that it isn't just my own. Like, it has surpassed lifetimes. Wow. It is a collective, I swear, it feels like a collective maternal lineage that I'm clearing. And I have a little girl, and I see it in her. Yeah. So
That's
that,
amazing.
and I remember having that epiphany, and then you and I started a conversation about the feminine, and we started saying, what are we doing? Like, what are we waiting for? We need to reclaim the feminine and understand what she needs and what her gifts are and how we nurture her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. It really became a growing conversation for me too. Like when I started dating again, yes, I started diving into it. I was reading all about the, you know, the relationship coaches out there were all talking about this feminine energy thing. So that's kind of where it started to come in. I wasn't even like aware of it. Like I didn't come by it naturally like you did. I kind of fell into it, and then I was like, oh, well, this sounds like a good idea. I could use some feminine. I don't know how to flirt. I don't know what to do. I've been married for like a long time, and what the heck do I do now? So I needed guidance, and that's just what I started to find. And then they were all saying the same thing.
Yeah. And
so then I started learning.
And the thing about the raging feminine as well, because that's what I'm calling it for me, is it can really often be skewed with the inner child. Because if anybody understands inner child work, you know, the inner child is alive, yeah, right, alive and well, and most likely your inner child is traumatized and abandoned and feeling all these things. And so I often, for myself, when that anger, resentment came up, I often thought it was the inner child.
Interesting.
And for me, it really like came home that now I know the distinction. I know when my inner child requires some loving attention.
Yeah.
And even in my body, and what I'm going to tell you, the other interesting thing as a Reiki healer is that the inner child and the feminine both actually harbor in the sacral chakra.
Yeah, I love hearing how you bring this into the body, because that's not what I don't know that. So
well, I think that comes from like 21, 22 years of touching people.
Wow. You know, I actually, I could share a Dr. Christian Northrup story, because I did inner child work as part of my journey in the
She's fabulous.
I actually did an exercise. I promised her I would do this exercise of meeting my child, and we did a thing. So she basically started off by, you know, pick a number from 1 to 10. I just picked a number. That's how old my child was. So I met her for 40 days in a garden for 40 days. And she said, if you miss a day, you have to start over again.
Yeah.
So I was not missing a day.
Yeah.
And I did it.
You can't. You have to commit.
Beautiful.
And this is the thing, right? You know, when we talk about relationships, if you're entering a relationship, and I personally feel, if you're entering a relationship and you have not nurtured your inner child, if you don't know how to care and support that feminine energy within you, and then you enter in a relationship with a male who doesn't know how to nurture his feminine, and he doesn't know how to nurture his inner child. You have two people coming together that are just triggering each other. They're like trigger, and it's so painful.
Yes.
And that's where most of the conflict is in most relationships. And some people kind of, I think, you know, they somehow work through those things, and then other people, they don't. And they do the work in the next relationship or on their own, or
hopefully. Yes.
Yeah. So Laura says, as a teacher and a mom, I find we are giving all the time. So she's feeling like the feminine is, and also
I want to catch what you said there.
Maria says, it makes so much sense feeling the rage, as I have only made time for everyone in my family.
So the thing about the feminine, you know, as I said, motherhood is very masculine, which we might not have thought, but it's masculine energy because we're doing a lot. So when we're mothering, we got to lean back. You know, we can even lean back with our kids. We don't always have to be in feminine.
Okay, wait. That was, you see what I mean? Your energy is so high. You just said something so profound again. So, mothering is masculine because we're doing. Wow.
We're not being. So, but we can. So when I lean back with my kids, it's a whole, that's like hugging and loving and just being with them, watching a movie with them. There's no pushing or lecturing or go clean your rooming or it's time to eat your dinner or put your dishes back. There's none of that. There's a time and a place for that. But then there's time and a place where we lean back with our kids. My son has a mental health diagnosis. So leaning back, so there's a lot of dynamics there I have to work with, especially being in the home with them so much. So if I'm always on, and then we're going to be like bad, if I can't use my other fist, we're going to be like, so no, I need to
yeah.
That
is so huge.
I'm glad you like that.
That is so huge. That's even huge for me. And I think of a few people that are following who, you know, are in the exact same situation where they're, you know, pounding it out with their kids because they're constantly in a state of doing rather than
doing. That's why we need the bubble baths. We need the mummy's busy, light a candle in my bedroom, I'm reading a book. Mummy's going out with her friends. Mummy's getting her nails done, whatever. Yoga, coaching, exercising, flowers, whatever